The smell of disinfectant and death clung to everything in that house. Even now, 3 weeks after Mom's funeral, I can still taste it in the back of my throat when I wake up. My name is Lana, and I just buried both my parents within 6 months of each other. Dad went first, heart attack in February, while I was helping him to the bathroom. Mom followed in August, her body finally giving up after years of fighting diabetes and kidney disease. 10 years I spent in that house, watching them fade away piece by piece, and I was there for every single moment of it. Well, almost every moment. Lana, honey, you look exhausted. Aunt Jolie squeezed my shoulder at Mom's wake, her voice dripping with the kind of sympathy that feels more like pity. You've been such a devoted daughter. Your parents were so lucky to have you. I nodded and smiled because that's what you do at funerals. You smile and accept condolences and pretend your heart isn't a black hole of rage and grief. Where's Preston? Someone asked behind me. I haven't seen him yet. Oh, he's flying in from Seattle, Jolie announced to the room. Big presentation at work, you know how it is. But he'll be here. Of course he would. Preston always showed up just in time to look good. My brother arrived 2 hours before the service started, rolling up in his rental BMW like some kind of conquering hero. Designer suit, perfect hair, that $1 million smile that had been charming people since we were kids. He hugged relatives, shook hands with Dad's old friends, and played the grieving son to perfection. Lana. He pulled me into a hug that felt like a business transaction. How are you holding up? I'm fine, I lied. Good, good. Listen, we need to talk after all this is over. About the house, about arrangements. There's a lot to figure out. The way he said, arrangements, made my stomach clench, but I just nodded. During the service, Preston sat in the front row next to me, dabbing his eyes with a tissue, while the pastor talked about Mom's devotion to family. People kept glancing at him with approval, like he was the picture of a loving son. Meanwhile, I sat there remembering the last time he'd actually visited. Christmas 2 years ago, when he'd stayed for exactly 18 hours before claiming he had to get back for an emergency at work. Your brother's such a good man, Mrs. Chen from next door whispered to me afterward, flying all that way. You're both so lucky to have each other. I wanted to laugh. Or scream. Maybe both. The real kicker came at the reception. Preston worked the room like a politician, accepting sympathy and praise while I stood in the corner, invisible as always. Every conversation went the same way. Preston, we're so sorry for your loss. Thank you. It's been really hard. But Lana's been amazing through all of this. Then they'd glance at me with that polite smile people give to furniture before turning back to him. How's the business going? Oh, keeping busy. Just closed a huge deal in Portland. Mom would have been so proud. Would she? Because I'm pretty sure what would have made Mom proud was having her son visit more than twice in the last 5 years. But what do I know? I was only there every single day, changing her bandages, managing her medications, holding her hand through the panic attacks that came with her breathing treatments. By the time everyone left, I was running on fumes in spite. Preston found me in the kitchen, loading dishes into the dishwasher. We should probably start going through their things soon, he said, loosening his tie. I can't stay long. I've got meetings all next week. Of course you do. He either didn't catch my tone or chose to ignore it. I'll have my assistant coordinate with you about the estate stuff. William's handling everything, right? Dad's lawyer? William Clayton, yeah. He called yesterday about the will reading. Good, good. When's that happening? Next Friday, 2:00. Preston nodded, already pulling out his phone. I'll see if I can move some things around. This is important. Important. Right. Now it was important. After he left for his hotel, I sat alone in the house where I'd spent the last decade of my life. The silence was deafening. No more oxygen machines humming. No more medication alarms beeping. No more Mom calling my name in the middle of the night. Just me and 10 years of memories nobody else seemed to remember. The letter from William's office sat on the kitchen counter, official and ominous. Last will and testament of Robert and Maria Santiago. I stared at it until the words blurred together, and for the first time in weeks, I let myself hope. Maybe this was it. Maybe this was when everything would finally make sense. Maybe this was when I'd finally matter. William's office smelled like old leather and broken dreams. I sat in one of those stiff chairs that cost more than my car, watching the clock tick toward 2 o'clock while my palms sweated through my only decent dress. Preston strolled in at 2:03, because of course he did. He'd probably timed it for maximum impact. Fashionably late, but not late enough to seem disrespectful. His suit probably cost more than I'd spent on clothes in the past 5 years. Sorry, traffic was murder, he said, flashing that smile at William's secretary. She practically melted. William emerged from his inner office looking every bit the distinguished family lawyer. Silver hair, expensive suit, the kind of gravitas that comes with 40 years of handling other people's money. He'd been Dad's friend since college, which should have made me feel better about this whole thing. It didn't. Lana, Preston, please come in. I'm sorry for your loss. Your parents were wonderful people. We settled into chairs across from his massive mahogany desk. William opened a thick folder and pulled out several documents, his movements precise and practiced. I'll get straight to the point, he said. Your father was very specific about his wishes, and I want to make sure everything is crystal clear. My heart hammered against my ribs. This was it. 10 years of sacrifice, 10 years of putting my life on hold, 10 years of being the good daughter while Preston lived his perfect life 3,000 miles away. This was when it would all mean something. William cleared his throat. The house at 847 Maple Street, along with all furnishings and personal effects, goes to Preston Santiago. The words hit me like a physical blow. I actually gasped. The investment accounts, savings, and remaining assets also transferred to Preston Santiago. My vision started to tunnel. Wait, what about... William held up a hand. There's more. Your father was very thoughtful about this decision. He noted that Lana has been compensated for her care through room and board provided over the past decade. Compensated? The word came out as a croak. Room and board, William repeated, like he was explaining something to a child. Your father calculated the value of housing, utilities, and meals provided, and determined this constituted fair payment for services rendered. Services rendered. Like I was the fucking housekeeper. Preston shifted in his chair, and I caught something in his expression. Not surprise, not shock. Satisfaction. He'd known. Somehow, he'd known exactly what was coming. I don't understand, I managed. Dad never said anything about... Your father updated his will 6 months ago, William continued smoothly. He was very clear about his reasoning. Preston has established himself professionally and has greater financial responsibilities. The family assets will be best utilized under his stewardship. 6 months ago. Right after Dad's first heart episode, when he was scared and confused and barely knew what day it was half the time. This can't be right. My voice sounded foreign to my own ears. I gave up everything. My job, my friends, my entire life. I haven't had a real relationship in 10 years because I was here every single day. And that was your choice, Preston said quietly. His first words since we'd sat down. Nobody forced you to stay. I stared at him. Are you serious right now? I'm just saying, you made your decisions. I made mine. I built a career. I contribute to society. Dad understood that. Contribute to society? I was on my feet before I realized I'd moved. I wiped his ass when he couldn't do it himself. I held Mom's hand while she died. Where the fuck were you? Lana. William's voice cut through my rage. I understand this is emotional, but the will is legally binding. Your father was of sound mind when he made these changes. Sound mind. Dad, who'd forgotten my name 3 times in the week before he died. Dad, who'd asked me to call his mother, who'd been dead for 15 years. Preston reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. He slid it across William's desk toward me with the same casual gesture you'd used to pass the salt. What's this? 30-day notice, he said. I'm sorry, but I need you out of the house by the end of next month. I'm putting it on the market. The envelope felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. I opened it with shaking hands and saw my own name typed on official letterhead. Notice to quit and surrender possession of premises. You're evicting me. It wasn't a question. I'm giving you time to find somewhere else. That's more than legally required. This is my home. No, Preston said, and for the first time, his mask slipped. I saw something cold and calculating underneath all that charm. It's my house now. Everything in it is mine. Dad made his choice. William was shuffling papers, clearly uncomfortable, but not uncomfortable enough to actually help. If you have questions about the will, Lana, you're welcome to seek independent legal counsel. But I can assure you, everything is in order. I looked between them, William avoiding my eyes, Preston watching me with barely concealed amusement. This wasn't just about money or property. This was about power. This was about putting me in my place once and for all. You planned this, I whispered. Preston's smile was razor thin. I don't know what you mean. But I could see it in his eyes. He absolutely knew what I meant. I stood up, my legs somehow still working despite feeling like they were made of water. The eviction notice crumpled in my fist. 30 days, Preston repeated. Don't make this harder than it has to be. I walked out of that office in a daze, but by the time I reached my car, something had crystallized in my chest. Something hard and sharp and absolutely furious. They thought I was powerless. They thought I was just going to roll over and take it. They had no idea what I was capable of. I drove straight to Caitlin's apartment, my hands shaking so badly I could barely grip the steering wheel. She took one look at my face when she opened the door and pulled me inside. Jesus, Lana, what happened? You look like you've seen a ghost. Worse. I collapsed onto her couch and told her everything. Every humiliating detail of the will reading, Preston's smug face, the eviction notice that was still crumpled in my purse. Caitlin paced around her living room, getting more pissed off with every word. Are you fucking kidding me? Room and board? Like you were some live-in nurse? That's exactly what they're treating me like. This is insane. There has to be something you can do. Contest the will? Sue somebody? Anything. I laughed. But it came out bitter. With what money? Preston gets everything, remember? I've got about $3,000 in my checking account and a 10-year-old Honda. So what? You're just going to let them screw you over? I didn't say that. Caitlin stopped pacing. What do you mean? I pulled out my phone and scrolled to my photos. Found the video I'd been carrying around like a secret weapon for 6 months. Remember when I called you in March? When I was worried about Dad? Yeah, you said Preston had visited, and something felt off. More than off. I knew something was wrong, so I held up the phone. I recorded their conversation. Caitlin's eyes went wide. You recorded Preston? I hid my phone on the bookshelf in Dad's room. Preston didn't know I was listening. I hit play. My father's voice came through the speaker, weak and confused. I don't understand why we need to change anything. Lana's been so good to us. Then Preston's voice, smooth and persuasive. Dad, listen to me. Lana's going to be fine. She's lived here rent-free for 10 years. That's worth what? $200,000? More? She's already been paid. But the house needs someone who can maintain it properly. Someone with real income. Lana doesn't even have a job, Dad. How's she going to pay property taxes? Utilities? She'll lose it anyway. I just think, Dad. Preston's voice got firmer. You trust me, right? I'm your son. I've never steered you wrong. This is the smart thing to do. The responsible thing. There was a long pause, then Dad's defeated voice. If you think it's best, I do. And William agrees. He's drawing up the papers now. Caitlin stared at the phone like it was radioactive. Holy shit. There's more. I fast-forwarded. Listen to this part. Preston's voice again. And Dad, let's keep this between us for now. No need to upset Lana until everything's finalized. She's got enough to worry about with Mom being sick. Oh my God. Caitlin sank into her chair. He manipulated him. Your dad was barely coherent half the time, and Preston used that. Gets better. Guess who was there helping convince him? William? William fucking Clayton. Dad's supposed friend. His voice is on here too, explaining how generous the room and board calculation was. Caitlin was quiet for a long moment. Lana, this changes everything. This is fraud. Elder abuse. I could what? I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how any of this works. Then we find someone who does. She grabbed her laptop. What about Jet? Didn't he go to law school? Jet. My ex-boyfriend from college. The one I'd broken up with when I moved back home to take care of my parents. We'd stayed in touch sporadically over the years, mostly through social media. He's in tech law now, corporate stuff. This isn't his area. So? He'll know people who do this kind of work, and he always had a thing for you. Caitlin, I'm serious. Call him. What's the worst that could happen? He says no? She was right. I found Jet's number and called before I could chicken out. Lana? He sounded surprised but pleased. Hey, how are you? I heard about your parents. I'm so sorry. Thanks. Listen, I know this is weird, but I need help. Legal help. What's going on? I gave him the condensed version. By the time I finished, he was quiet for so long I thought the call had dropped. Jet? I'm here. Jesus, Lana. Your brother sounds like a real piece of work. Can you help? I know this isn't your thing, but send me that recording. Right now. And any other documentation you have. You think there's something there? I think your brother and this William guy are about to have a very bad day. Coercing an elderly person with diminished capacity to change their will? That's textbook elder abuse. And if William was in on it, he's looking at disbarment. My heart started beating faster. Really? Really. But Lana, you need to understand. This is going to get ugly. Your brother's not going to just roll over. Are you prepared for that? I thought about Preston's smug smile, the eviction notice, 10 years of my life dismissed as room and board. Bring it on. Good. I'm going to make some calls. In the meantime, document everything. Every interaction with Preston, every conversation with family members, and whatever you do, don't let him know you have that recording yet. Why not? Because right now, he thinks he's won. Let him keep thinking that while we build our case. After I hung up, Caitlin was grinning. Feel better? Getting there. I looked at my phone, at the video that was about to turn my family upside down. Preston has no idea what's coming. Good. That asshole deserves everything he's about to get. 3 days later, Preston showed up at the house with a moving truck. I was drinking coffee in the kitchen when I heard the truck rumbling up the driveway. Through the window, I watched Preston climb out of his rental car, followed by 2 guys in work clothes. He didn't even knock. Just walked in like he owned the place. Which, technically, he did. Morning, Lana. He surveyed the living room like he was appraising merchandise. I'm having some of the furniture moved to storage. The good pieces, anyway. You said I had 30 days. You do. But I need to secure the valuable items. You understand. One of the movers was already eyeing Mom's antique china cabinet. The same cabinet where she'd displayed her grandmother's dishes, the ones I'd been carefully dusting for 10 years. Those dishes were Mom's favorites. And now they're mine. Preston nodded to the movers. That cabinet, the dining room set, and the bedroom furniture upstairs. I watched them wrap Mom's china in newspaper like it was garage sale junk. Each piece felt like they were packing away another piece of my life. Oh, and Lana? Preston pulled out his phone. I'm having the locks changed tomorrow. For security reasons. Security reasons? Well, you won't be living here much longer. Can't have random people with keys floating around. The casual cruelty of it hit me like a slap. He wasn't just taking the house. He was erasing me from it completely. You're really enjoying this, aren't you? Preston looked up from his phone. Enjoying what? This. Watching me lose everything. I'm not watching you lose anything. I'm managing family assets responsibly. There's a difference. Right. Just like you responsibly managed visiting Mom and Dad. His jaw tightened. I had a career to build. Responsibilities. Not everyone can just drop out of life and play house. Play house? My voice went dangerously quiet. Is that what you think I was doing? I think you made choices. And now you're dealing with the consequences. The mover carrying Mom's jewelry box stumbled slightly, and I lunged forward. Careful with that. It's fine, Preston said. It's insured. It's not about insurance. Those are Mom's things. Were Mom's things. Past tense. I wanted to scream. Instead, I went upstairs and called Jet. He's here right now, taking everything, I whispered into the phone. Stay calm. Is he threatening you? Not directly, but he's having the locks changed tomorrow. Okay, that's actually good news for us. Shows intent to exclude you from property you have a legal right to occupy. Document everything. Take pictures. Record conversations if you can. What about the recording? When do we use it? Soon. I've been talking to a probate attorney named Sarah Kim. She's very interested in your case. But we want to time this right. Let Preston think he's in control a little longer. After I hung up, I found Preston in Dad's study, going through the desk drawers. Find anything interesting? He held up a stack of old bank statements. Just trying to get a complete picture of the estate. Dad wasn't the most organized record keeper. Maybe because he was dying. Maybe because he was old and sick and not thinking clearly. Preston paused, like he just realized what he'd said. Which is why it's good he had me to help him make the right decisions. Right decisions? The will, Lana. Making sure everything went to someone who could actually handle it. I pulled out my phone and started recording. So you're saying Dad wasn't thinking clearly when he changed the will? Preston's eyes narrowed. What are you doing? Just documenting things. For my records. Put the phone away. Why? I thought you said everything was legal and above board. It is. But I don't appreciate being recorded without my consent. Funny. I don't appreciate being evicted from my childhood home. Preston stood up, and for a moment I saw something ugly flash across his face. You know what your problem is, Lana? You've never understood how the real world works. You think because you played nursemaid for a few years, you deserve some kind of reward. A few years? You chose to stay here. You chose to put your life on hold. That's not my fault or my responsibility. And you chose to stay away, to let me handle everything while you built your perfect life. Exactly. I built something. You just existed. The word hit me like a physical blow. Existed. Like I was some kind of parasite who'd been feeding off our parents for a decade. My phone buzzed with a text from Jet. Legal letter ready to send. Just say the word. I looked at Preston, still rifling through Dad's papers like he was searching for buried treasure. The movers were downstairs, packing up the last pieces of my childhood. I typed back, "Send it." "What are you smiling about?" Preston asked. "Nothing. Just thinking about how much things can change in a day." "Well, enjoy the philosophical thoughts. You've got 3.5 weeks to figure out your next move." My phone buzzed again. Jet. Sent. Should arrive by courier within the hour. Actually, Preston, I think you're the one who needs to figure out his next move. What's that supposed to mean? You'll find out soon enough. He stared at me for a long moment, and I could see him trying to figure out if I was bluffing. The old Lana would have been. The old Lana would have just taken whatever scraps he threw her way. But the old Lana didn't have a recording of him manipulating our dying father. Whatever game you think you're playing, Lana, you're going to lose. You always do. We'll see about that. 47 minutes later, a courier knocked on the door. Preston signed for the envelope, probably thinking it was something related to the estate. I watched from the kitchen as he opened it, watched his face go white as he read the first page, watched his hands start shaking as he got to the part about the recording. What the fuck is this? That would be my attorney's formal challenge to Dad's will, based on evidence of coercion and elder abuse. Preston's phone was already in his hand, dialing. William, we have a problem. Within an hour, Preston was back with William and some guy I'd never seen before. Tall, expensive suit, the kind of dead eyes that screamed corporate lawyer. Lana, this is Dante Powell, my business partner, Preston said. We need to talk. I stayed in the kitchen doorway, arms crossed. Talk away. William cleared his throat. This legal challenge is unfortunate. Based on what I'm reading here, there seems to be some confusion about the circumstances surrounding your father's will. No confusion on my end. I have everything on tape. Dante stepped forward. Ms. Santiago, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Preston mentioned you might be feeling emotional about the estate distribution, which is completely natural. Perhaps we can work something out. Work something out. A settlement. Something that acknowledges your contributions to your parents' care. Preston shot him a look, but Dante continued. We're prepared to offer you $50,000. Cash. In exchange for withdrawing this challenge and signing a non-disclosure agreement. I laughed. Actually laughed. 50,000? For 10 years of my life? It's a generous offer, William said. More than generous, considering the will is legally binding. Is it, though? Because my attorney seems to think differently. Preston's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and his face went pale. Shit. What? Dante asked. It's my cousin Fatima. She's asking about some recording. How the hell does she know about... He looked at me. What did you do? I didn't do anything. But you know how family gossip works. My phone had been buzzing all morning. The family group chat was exploding. Apparently word was spreading fast. Fatima. Lana, is it true Preston recorded you guys? What's this about elder abuse? Yesenia. What recording? Someone fill me in. Zlata. I always thought something was fishy about that will. Lana gave up everything for them. Aunt Jolie. Everyone needs to calm down. Preston would never do anything inappropriate. Fatima. Then why is there a lawyer involved? The best part was watching Preston's face as his phone kept buzzing with notifications. His perfect image was cracking in real time. You need to control this narrative, Dante said quietly. If this gets out publicly... It's already out, I said. I mean, not the recording itself. Yet. But people are asking questions. William's phone rang. He stepped away to answer it, but I could hear him saying things like, no comment, and client confidentiality. Local news? I asked sweetly. How did they... Preston started. Funny thing about small towns. People talk, especially when one of their own gets screwed over by her rich brother. Dante pulled Preston aside, whispering urgently. I caught fragments. Damage control, and settlement negotiations, and this could destroy you. My phone rang. It was Jet. How's it going over there? They just offered me $50,000 to go away. 50? That's insulting. Counter with 200. 200,000? Preston's head snapped toward me. I put the call on speaker. Minimum, Jet continued. But honestly, Lana, I think we should push for full restoration of your inheritance rights. The recording is damning. William could lose his license over this. William, who just finished his call, went white as a sheet. Who is this? Dante demanded. Jet Dixon, Ms. Santiago's legal counsel. And you are? Dante Powell. I represent Preston Santiago's business interests. The business partner. Well, Mr. Powell, I hope you're prepared for some negative publicity. Elder abuse cases tend to generate a lot of media attention. Preston grabbed the phone from my hand. Listen, asshole. Preston, William hissed. Don't say another word. But it was too late. Jet had heard everything. Did he just threaten me? Lana, please tell me you're recording this conversation. I held up my phone. Every word. Dante looked like he wanted to disappear. Preston, we need to leave. Now. We're not done here, Preston snarled. Yeah, we are. I walked to the front door and opened it. Get out of my house. It's not your house. According to my attorney, that's debatable, especially since you obtained it through fraud. William was already heading for the door, muttering about damage control and professional liability insurance. Dante grabbed Preston's arm. We're leaving, now. After they left, I called Jet back. That went better than expected, he said. Preston just gave us more ammunition, threatening opposing counsel, attempting to intimidate you in your own home. Their own home, according to them. Not for long. I'm filing an emergency motion to freeze all estate assets pending investigation. And Lana? That business partner of his looked scared. Really scared. Good. There's something else. I did some digging on Preston's company. They're in the middle of a major acquisition. Something like this could tank the whole deal. My phone buzzed with another text. This one from my cousin Zlata. Aunt Jolie is freaking out. She's calling everyone, trying to do damage control for Preston, but nobody's buying it. We all remember how you sacrificed everything. Then another from Fatima. Channel 7 News just called me asking about the Santiago family dispute. I told them to call you directly. And another from Yesenia. Preston's LinkedIn is getting hammered with comments. Someone leaked that he's being investigated for elder abuse. I showed Jet the messages when he arrived an hour later. Jesus, this is moving fast. Too fast? No such thing. The longer this drags out, the more time they have to cover their tracks or discredit you. We want this in the public eye. Even if it destroys what's left of my family? Jet looked at me seriously. Lana, they destroyed your family when they decided to steal your inheritance. You're just making sure everyone knows about it. My phone rang. Unknown number. Ms. Santiago? This is Rebecca Martinez from Channel 7 News. I understand there's a dispute over your parents' estate involving allegations of elder abuse. Would you be willing to go on record? I looked at Jet. He nodded. Yes, I said. I think it's time people heard the truth. The news crew showed up at 8 a.m. sharp. Rebecca Martinez was younger than I'd expected, but she had that sharp, no-nonsense look of someone who'd built her career on exposing bullshit. Before we go on camera, she said, setting up in the living room, I want to hear the recording. I played it for her on my phone. She listened with the kind of focused intensity that made me understand why Preston was probably shitting himself right about now. This is incredible, she said when it finished. Your brother literally coached your father through changing his will while he was mentally compromised. And the family lawyer helped. William Clayton? I know that name. He's handled estates for half the wealthy families in this county. She shook her head. If this is authentic, and our tech team will verify that, his career is over. The interview went live at noon. Rebecca didn't pull any punches. Lana, you spent 10 years caring for your parents. What was that like? It was hard. Really hard. But they were my parents. I couldn't imagine being anywhere else. And during those 10 years, how often did your brother visit? Maybe 6 times total. Christmas, A couple of birthdays. He was always too busy with work. But he found time to visit when your father was dying. He found time to manipulate a sick old man into changing his will, yes. The recording played over the broadcast. Hearing Preston's voice on television, so smooth and calculated as he convinced Dad to disinherit me, made my stomach turn all over again. What do you want people to know about this situation? I want them to know that elder abuse doesn't always look like physical violence. Sometimes it looks like a son who shows up just long enough to steal his sister's inheritance. My phone started ringing before the interview even ended. Reporters, relatives, neighbors, everyone wanted to talk. The first call I answered was from Aunt Jolie. "Lana, what have you done?" Her voice was shaking. "Going on television? Airing family business like this?" "Family business? He stole my inheritance, Jolie. That's not how Preston tells it." "I'm sure it's not. Did you listen to the recording?" That's taken out of context. Preston was just trying to help your father make a responsible decision. By lying to him? By telling him I'd been paid with room and board? You did live there rent-free. I lived there because I was taking care of 2 dying people, because nobody else would do it. Preston had his career, and I had mine too. I gave up everything, Jolie. Everything. And you're defending the person who stole it from me? She was quiet for a long moment. This is going to tear the family apart. Preston already did that. I'm just making sure everyone knows who's responsible. The second call was from Preston himself. "You stupid bitch," he hissed. "Do you have any idea what you've done? Enlighten me. The acquisition deal's dead. Dante's investors are pulling out. My reputation is destroyed. Good. Good? This affects more than just me, Lana. Dante has employees, people with families. Should have thought about that before you decided to fuck over your own sister. I'm going to sue you for defamation, for intentional interference with business relationships. I'm going to destroy you." "With what money? Didn't you just say your business was tanking?" The line went quiet. "Here's the thing, Preston. I spent 10 years watching you charm everyone while I did all the actual work. But charm doesn't mean shit when people see who you really are. This isn't over." "You're right. It's not. Because tomorrow, my attorney is deposing you under oath, and the day after that, we're deposing William, and we're going to ask you both some very uncomfortable questions about how you manipulated a dying man." He hung up. The third call was from William. "Lana, we need to talk. This has gotten out of hand." "Has it?" "Because from where I'm sitting, it's just getting started. I'm prepared to recommend that Preston settle with you. Substantially." "How substantially?" "The house, plus $200,000. I almost dropped the phone. "You're serious?" "Dead serious. This recording, it's not good for anyone. Preston looks like a predator. I look like an accomplice. We need to make this go away. And if I say no, then we all go down together. But Lana, think about what you really want here. Do you want justice, or do you want revenge? What's the difference? Justice gets you your inheritance back. Revenge destroys everyone, including you." I thought about that for a moment. "I'll consider it." "Don't take too long. The longer this stays in the news, the worse it gets for all of us." After I hung up, Jed arrived with a stack of papers. "Settlement offer?" he asked. "House plus $200,000. That's not enough. Not after what they put you through." "It's more than I had yesterday." "Lana, we have them dead to rights. The recording is ironclad. William's career is over. Preston's business is tanking, and the court of public opinion is firmly on your side. We can get everything." "And if we push too hard?" "Then we find out what they're really made of." My phone buzzed with a text from Fatima. "Just saw the news. Holy shit, Lana. The whole family is talking about this. Preston's getting roasted in the group chat." Then another from Yesenia. "Aunt Jolie is having a meltdown. She's been calling everyone trying to get them to support Preston through this difficult time. Nobody's buying it. And one more from Zlata. You're a fucking hero. I always knew Preston was a snake. I looked at Jet. What happens if we reject the settlement? We go to court. We expose everything. And we make sure Preston and William never do this to another family. Even if it means I might lose? You won't lose. But even if you did, at least everyone would know the truth. I thought about Preston's voice on that recording, so calm and manipulative. I thought about William, who'd been Dad's friend for 40 years, helping to steal from his own daughter. Reject it, I said. You sure? I'm sure. They want to play hardball? Let's play hardball. The deposition was scheduled for 9 a.m. on a Tuesday. I got to the law office early and watched through the window as Preston pulled up in his rental car. He looked like he'd aged 5 years in 2 weeks. William arrived separately, clutching a briefcase like it was a life preserver. His usual polished appearance was gone. Wrinkled shirt, stubble, the look of a man who hadn't been sleeping. Jet squeezed my shoulder. You ready for this? More than ready. Sarah Kim, the probate attorney Jet had brought in, was already setting up the recording equipment. She was small, maybe 5'2", but she had the kind of presence that made everyone in the room pay attention. We'll start with Mr. Clayton, she announced, then Mr. Santiago. William took his seat across from us, his lawyer beside him. The court reporter's fingers hovered over her machine. State your name for the record. William James Clayton. And your relationship to the deceased? Robert Santiago? I was his attorney, and his friend. Sarah pulled out a thick folder. Mr. Clayton, how long had you known Robert Santiago? 42 years. We met in college. And in all that time, had he ever expressed any intention to disinherit his daughter? William's lawyer leaned over and whispered something. William shook his head. Not directly, no. Not directly. What does that mean? He sometimes worried about Lana's future. Her lack of career prospects. Her lack of career prospects. You mean the career she gave up to care for him and his wife? Objection, William's lawyer said. Leading. Sarah smiled. I'll rephrase. Why did Lana Santiago not have career prospects, in your understanding? She had been out of the workforce for several years. Because? Because she was caring for her parents. Full-time? Yes. Without pay? William shifted in his seat. She received room and board. Room and board. In the house where she grew up. The house where she was providing 24-hour care to 2 elderly sick people. Yes. Sarah played the recording? All of it. William's face went gray as his own voice filled the room, explaining to my confused father how generous the room and board calculation was. Mr. Clayton, is that your voice on this recording? Yes. And you're helping Preston Santiago convince his father to change his will? I was providing legal counsel. To whom? Robert Santiago was your client, correct? Yes. But in this recording, you seem to be advocating for Preston Santiago's position. Would you agree? William's lawyer whispered urgently in his ear. I was trying to help Robert understand his options. His options. Did you inform Robert that he could leave the house to Lana? It wasn't practical. Why not? She didn't have the income to maintain it. Did you ask her about her financial situation? No. Did you suggest any alternatives? A trust, perhaps? Shared ownership? No. So you decided, without consulting Lana, that she shouldn't inherit her childhood home. I was looking out for Robert's best interests. Were you? Or were you looking out for Preston's? The questioning went on for 2 hours. By the end, William looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. Then it was Preston's turn. He strutted in like he still owned the room, but I could see the cracks in his facade. His suit was perfect, his hair was perfect, but his hands were shaking slightly. State your name for the record. Preston Michael Santiago? And your relationship to Robert Santiago? He was my father. Sarah didn't waste time with pleasantries. Mr. Santiago, how many times did you visit your parents in the last 5 years of their lives? I don't know exactly. Several times. Several. Would you say more than 10 times? Preston's lawyer objected, but Sarah pressed on. Let me be more specific. According to airline records, you flew from Seattle to this city exactly 7 times between 2018 and your father's death in February 2023. Does that sound accurate? If you say so. 7 visits in 5 years, that's less than twice per year to see your dying parents. I had work obligations. Work obligations? What kind of work do you do? I'm a consultant. Business development. And this work prevented you from visiting your parents more than 7 times in 5 years? It's complicated. But not too complicated to fly out when you needed your father to change his will. Preston's jaw tightened. That's not what happened. Sarah played the recording again. Preston's voice filled the room, smooth and manipulative, as he convinced our father to disinherit me. Is that your voice, Mr. Santiago? Yes. And you're telling your father that Lana has been paid through room and board? She was living there rent-free, while providing full-time care to 2 terminally ill people. She chose to do that. She chose to care for your parents while you built your career in Seattle. Yes. And you chose to let her. Preston's lawyer objected, but the damage was done. Mr. Santiago, at any point during this conversation with your father, did you mention that Lana had given up her job to care for him? I don't recall. You don't recall. Did you mention that she had no social life, no romantic relationships, no life outside of caring for your parents? That was her choice. Her choice. And your choice was to stay 3,000 miles away until you needed something from your dying father. Objection. Withdrawn. Sarah leaned back. Mr. Santiago, in your opinion, did your father have full mental capacity when he changed his will? Preston hesitated. Yes. He had full mental capacity. So when he forgot your sister's name 3 times in 1 week, that was normal. He was old. When he asked Lana to call his mother, who had been dead for 15 years, that was normal. People get confused when they're sick. Confused, but still capable of making major financial decisions. Preston's lawyer was objecting constantly now, but it didn't matter. The truth was out there, recorded and undeniable. When it was over, Preston stormed out without looking at me. William followed, his career in ruins. Sarah packed up her files. That went better than I expected. What happens now? Now we wait for the judge. But honestly, Lana, after today, I'd be shocked if they don't settle. She was right. The call came that evening. They want to meet, Jet said. Tomorrow. Full settlement negotiation. What are they offering? Everything. The house, the investments, the savings, plus damages for emotional distress. I sat in my childhood bedroom, looking out at the yard where I'd played as a kid, where I'd watched my parents slowly fade away. And Preston? Preston gets nothing. And William's probably going to lose his license. Good. Lana, are you sure this is what you want? Once we accept this settlement, it's over. No more family, no more brother. I thought about Preston's face during the deposition, the way he dismissed 10 years of my life as her choice. He stopped being my brother the day he decided to steal from me. Then let's finish this. The settlement meeting took place in a sterile conference room downtown. Preston sat across from me, flanked by 2 lawyers who looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. William wasn't there. His attorney had called that morning to say he was indisposed. Let's cut to the chase, Preston's lead attorney said. My client is prepared to offer full restoration of the estate to Ms. Santiago, plus $100,000 in damages. Sarah didn't even blink. $200,000, plus legal fees, plus a public apology. A public apology is out of the question. Then we'll see you in court. Preston finally spoke up. Lana, can we just Can we talk? Alone? His lawyers looked horrified, but I nodded. 5 minutes. We stepped into the hallway. Preston looked exhausted, defeated. For the first time since this whole thing started, he looked like my actual brother instead of some corporate shark. I fucked up, he said quietly. Yeah, you did. I thought I was being practical. Dad was dying. You had no job, no prospects. I figured you'd be fine. You'd figure something out. You figured I'd be fine? Preston, I gave up everything for them. Everything. I know. I know that now. He ran his hands through his hair, but I can't take it back. And this public humiliation, the news coverage, my business falling apart, is that really what you wanted? I looked at him. Really looked at him. The golden boy who charmed everyone his whole life, now facing the consequences of his actions for the first time. What I wanted was for you to visit Mom and Dad. What I wanted was for you to help me take care of them. What I wanted was for you to acknowledge that I sacrificed my entire adult life for our family. You're right. I know I'm right. The question is, do you actually understand why you're wrong? Or are you just sorry you got caught? Preston was quiet for a long moment. Both, probably. I'm sorry I got caught, and I'm sorry I hurt you. But mostly I'm sorry I was such a selfish asshole that I convinced myself you deserve this. It wasn't the apology I'd dreamed of, but it was honest. More honest than Preston had been about anything in years. The public apology stays on the table, I said. Lana, you humiliated me in front of our entire family. You made me look like a freeloader who'd been taking advantage of our parents. You owe me that much. He nodded slowly. Okay, but can we try to salvage something here? We're still family. Are we? Because family doesn't steal from each other, Preston. Family doesn't manipulate dying parents. Family doesn't evict their sister from her childhood home. You're right. But we're all we've got left. That hit harder than I expected. Mom and Dad were gone. Most of our extended family had picked sides. Preston and I were the last of our little nuclear family, and I was about to cut him out of my life forever. We'll see, I said. Back in the conference room, the lawyers hammered out the details. I got everything. The house, the investments, the savings account, plus $200,000 in damages. Preston got to keep his personal belongings and his car. That was it. The public apology was scheduled for the following week. Preston would give a statement to the same reporter who'd interviewed me, acknowledging his wrongdoing and apologizing for his actions. One more thing, Sarah said as we were wrapping up. Mr. Santiago, you're prohibited from contesting this settlement or making any public statements that contradict your apology. Any violation voids the agreement and reinstates Ms. Santiago's right to pursue criminal charges. Preston's lawyer winced, but Preston just nodded. Understood. The paperwork took another hour. When it was done, I owned everything that should have been mine from the beginning. Preston caught up with me in the parking lot. For what it's worth, he said, I'm proud of you. I never thought you had it in you to fight back like this. That's because you never really knew me. No, I guess I didn't. He got into his rental car, then rolled down the window. Lana, when this all dies down, maybe we could try to be brother and sister again. Actually, try this time? Maybe. But you're going to have to earn it. I know. He drove away, and I stood in the parking lot for a few minutes, trying to process what had just happened. I'd won. I'd gotten everything I'd fought for and more. So why did I feel so empty? My phone buzzed. Text from Caitlin. Saw the news about the settlement. You did it. Drinks tonight? Another from Jet. Congratulations. You should be proud of yourself. And one from Fatima. The whole family is talking about Preston's apology. You're a legend. I drove home. To my house. My childhood home that was finally, legally, mine again. I walked through the rooms, touching furniture that Preston had tried to steal, looking at family photos that told the story of who we used to be. The house felt different now, not just because I owned it, but because I'd fought for it. I'd stood up for myself in a way I never had before. My phone rang. It was Jet. "How are you feeling?" "Honestly, I don't know. Relieved, I guess. Exhausted. Maybe a little sad." "Sad?" "I destroyed my relationship with my brother. Maybe permanently." "Lana, you didn't destroy anything. He did that when he decided to steal from you." "I know. But still." "Listen, I was thinking, maybe we could have dinner sometime. Catch up properly. It's been a long time since we talked about anything other than legal strategy." I smiled for the first time in weeks. "I'd like that." "Good. And Lana, you should know that what you did took incredible courage. A lot of people would have just accepted what happened and moved on. A lot of people aren't as stubborn as I am. No, they're not. And that's why you won." I hung up and walked out onto the front porch, the same porch where I'd sat as a kid, where I'd helped my parents when they could barely walk. The house was quiet now, but it didn't feel empty anymore. It felt like home.